Was your involvement in the folk music scene in New York, was that a big part of it as well?
Surely, surely. I mean, do you know any right-wing folk songs? I don't know any. I mean, the only right-wing folk song that I could possibly mention is a song was sung. If you forget the singer, take this job and shove it.
Johnny Paycheck.
That's it. Other than that, I don't.
Um, an important part of that evolution, I would imagine, was also meeting Dylan, hearing "Blowin' in the Wind," and I wanted to maybe just to get you to talk a little bit about 1963 and being in Mississippi and.
Look, I think one of the greatest expressions of wounded nationality came out of Phil Oakes. Phil Oakes grieved for the land that he loved, and he wrote his grief. He composed the songs about his grief. Bob Dylan learned from Phil. Bob Dylan often emulated Phil. Came a time when Dylan decided to go another way and to look inside himself instead of look outside himself and see what was happening around him in the street. It's all right. It's a permissible way to go. And even if it were not permissible, who am I to say? I was there the night when Dylan went electric in Newport. I was a director of the Newport Folk Festival. I was one of its founders. And I recall that afternoon, Dylan had played with the Butterfield Blues Band in an afternoon workshop and had experimented with them. So this wasn't totally out of the blue for me. As a matter of fact, Albert Grossman was Dylan's manager that afternoon, and somebody yelled at Dylan to stop playing around with electronic music and with electric guitars and stuff like that. And Al Grossman actually came to blows, to fisticuffs with the person who criticized Dylan. So that was the afternoon before that thing happened. And Dylan went out on the stage and he sang with an electric guitar backed up by the Butterfield Blues Band. He sang a song called I Ain't Gonna Work on Maggie's Farm No More, which is a declaration of independence, if it's anything. Okay? And half the people booed him. And he was not used to being booed. None of us was used to being booed. Newport was a love fest. You don't get booed at a love fest. He came off stage and he was white in the face. Yeah. And there was Pete Seeger, who was clearly upset. And while this thing was going on, while Dylan was still on the stage, Pete said, I feel like smashing that guitar. I remember saying to Pete, I mean, I'm sure this music has a place somewhere, not at Newport, not in a folk festival, but somewhere. It'll find its way, possibly. And then when Dylan came off, Peter Yarrow and I walked over to him, and I remember saying to Dylan, you know, when somebody rides a horse and gets thrown off of the horse, unless they get back on the horse right away, they'll never ride again. So what I suggest is that you go out there with your acoustic guitar, the old Dylan, because that's the Dylan they love. And I don't know what you're going to do tomorrow or next month or next year, but I suggest you do that. So he went back out with his acoustic guitar. Everybody applauded and yelled bravos and stuff. And then what he sang was as much of a declaration of independence as the song that he had sung before. He sang It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, with his acoustic guitar. So that was that famous, infamous evening at Newport, Rhode Island. People remember it differently, but I remember it well.
Did Pete Seeger have an axe?
No, Pete didn't have an axe. He said, if I had an axe,